What was one of the biggest misconceptions? I mean, we heard the story, but what was one of the biggest misconceptions you wanted to clear up?
Well, you know, it's really a joke in this day and age for people to think that you can steal money in the record business.
Yeah.
It's not possible. When we would get the numbers at the end of the quarter.
Yeah.
Eazy and I. His business manager would go over them. We would send them to our lawyers. Our lawyers would go over them. The accountants would then draw up all the paperwork. Then we would send it to the guys, whether it was Cube or whoever, his business manager and his lawyer.
Yeah.
It was all done by computer. You know, to think about that, a picture of Eazy and I sitting there late at night with green eyeshadows on cooking the books. It's just a joke. It's not possible. It's just a joke. It's not possible. It's just a joke. It's not possible.
It's just a joke. It's not possible.
This place has the flavor.
That gelding, name is Sidney.
So how come you never wrote a song about him? When you and Little Jimmy were writing partners on all his hits, did you write the music and him the lyrics, or was it the other way around?
We had our own process.
So that ooh, wackadoodly doo, I'm so blue, that spring from your experience or the Little Brothers?
One could write a song about a horse. But in order for it to be a hit with your target audience, you'd have to have a mounted cop on him, be ripped up the ass with a Mac-10, no?
So you bought horses with your royalties. And Little Jimmy's royalties, whatever became of those?
We bought horse.
Music business back then, we were breaking all the rules. Making them, breaking them as we went along.
You mean raping and pillaging?
Things haven't changed much, huh? Were we hard-nosed? Yeah. But we gave a lot of kids their start. A lot of Negro youth. Took them out of the ghetto. Kids with talent, put them on the stage.
Herman, ordinarily, I'd be more than happy to stroll down memory lane with you. But it's reparations that I seek.
Why don't we call this what it is? A shakedown.
Your own father was a silent partner in N.W.A Records. Made sure that the records got airplay. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that money bought my house down to Jersey Shore. What do you want to do here, Hesh? I'm guided by you.
He's got to do the right thing, that's what.
Oh! Hey, you're way out of line, kid. Let's get some cold fucking fizzy water on your head. Thank you, Jen. Let's get right to the point, huh? What's in this for you?
If you read Chuck D's book, you know that he advises that reparations be made by the Jewish studio moguls in Hollywood on account of the way black folks have been portrayed in film. Now, it's only germane to this argument in as much as I feel that the grievances in the music business are far worse.
You're talking to the wrong white man, my friend. My people were the white man's nigger when yours was still painting their faces and chasing zebras. As far as Louis B. Mayer is concerned, what are you, fucking nuts?
My lawyers have done a little research. I think that the final figure is somewhere around $400,000. Now, a cashier's check made to a Mrs. Idella Willis will set the record straight.
Or what?
Well, what was it that she called him? Oh, yeah. That nice man, I think she said.
Yeah.
So anyone that even would believe something like that, it's ridiculous. And a friend of mine named Big Reg said to me, you know, in my world, man, if you don't deny something, people believe it's true.
Yeah.
And I said, no, nobody is going to really believe that we stole money from these guys. That's crazy. I mean, everybody made so much money. You think anyone had to steal from anyone? I mean, does Dr. Dre have enough money? Does Ice Cube have enough money?
Yeah.
I mean, Dr. Dre was the leading earner in show business last year. He made $675 million. Ice Cube's first movie that he did with whatever the comic's name is. It's 170 million domestic.
Yeah.
It's just a joke.
One thing you said in the book that I found it kind of like, wow. You said, if I stole from these guys, why didn't they never sue me?
Well, I think that's a really good point.
That's pretty fair. That's pretty fair to say.
Nobody ever sued, so obviously they were just using it as an excuse in Compton or wherever to say, we got rid of the white guy, because, he was helping Eazy steal or whatever. But, it's nobody ever sued me and nobody ever sued him. So obviously it was all bullshit. And
so what was your beef with him? Because I know in your book, you said that Eazy let the snake in the building when the DOC was like the fifth Beatle in the group. What was your beef with him?
He brought in Suge Knight.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so
Suge Knight was his guy. And he brought Suge Knight around. And Suge Knight to me marked the end of fun in hip hop. Before that, it was fun. We all had fun, man.
Yeah.
After Suge Knight got involved, there was no more fun. There were guys sitting in our office with Uzis 24 hours a day. So he changed the entire complexion of what was happening at Ruthless.
When that happened, when that whole thing with Eazy happened and this whole Suge Knight thing was happening, why did you stick around? Why didn't you, take your ball and go home? Or why didn't you say, you know what, this is too much shit going on. I have enough money. Let me just get out of Dodge.
Dre came to my house one day. We lived right around the corner from each other. We all lived there together. And said, hey, man, you picked the wrong nigga. And I said, hey, man, I go home from the dance with who I came with.
He came in your door and said that to you?
Well, I was standing in the driveway.
Oh,
he
okay.
came over. We were neighbors, And he said that. And Doug Young, who was the head of promotion at Ruthless at the time, said, look, you better start taking Dre more seriously because, this Suge Knight is really blowing smoke up his ass. And he did. And obviously, Dre was willing to leave Death Row with nothing.
Dre was willing to leave Death Row with nothing.
First time I met Suge Knight was at a restaurant in L.A. called Palm Restaurant. And I was sitting there eating, nice meal, and all of a sudden these huge guys, looked like a football team, showed up. It was very intimidating to see these guys. They were bigger than my bodyguards, and a bunch of them. And they pretty much grabbed my bodyguard and pulled him out and sat down next to me right there and started talking to me. How you doing?
Uninvited?
Totally uninvited. I didn't even know him.
See him again?
Sure did. Saw him again a few months later. He did the same thing, just kind of showed up to me, said hi, and then left. And still thinking, well, wow, this guy knows where I'm at all times. How does he know where I'm at? What's going on here?
Knight told us, before he knew we had talked with Van Winkle, that it was all very friendly.
He agreed to everything. It wasn't a problem. And
wait, he agreed to everything?
I mean, he said the guy wrote the song. And he didn't have a problem with it. He said
that's not what he says at all.
I had my bodyguards who had guns, and they had their people which had guns, and they had us outpowered and outnumbered.
Talking publicly about it for the first time, Van Winkle describes a terrifying night in his suite at a Beverly Hills hotel when he says Suge Knight showed up with 6 other men.
Roughed one of my bodyguards up. They roughed everybody else and my whole entourage up. Suge took me out on the balcony, started talking to me personally.
On the balcony?
On the balcony.
High above?
Like 15 floors. He had me look over the edge, show me how high I was up there.
Were you scared?
I needed to wear a diaper on that day. I was very scared.
On the balcony, Van Winkle says Suge Knight told him to sign over points from the song to a man named Mario Lavelle Johnson. Who is Mario Lavelle Johnson? His name is listed.
That's the guy that Suge Knight brought over there that was an acquaintance of mine that had nothing to do with that song.
You signed over the rights?
Signed over the rights to him so that Suge and them could get paid for it.
So Mario Lavelle Johnson didn't write that song?
No way.
How much were those points worth?
About $4 million, $3 million, anywhere between there. $3 to $4 million.
And you just signed them?
I signed them. And walked away alive.